Hi, my name is Fernando Frías de la Parra. I'm the writer-director of I'm No Longer Here. And I'm here in Monterrey, in the northeast of Mexico, where the film takes place. I want to tell you a little bit about the story and its origins and how it came to be. First off, the location is pretty important, right? We are very close to the border, so there's a lot of influences that come together here. Secondly, it's a place that at some point in history was very affected by the war on drugs, because of also its closeness to the border, of course. The film is actually set in 2011, 2010, and during that administration there was a strategy, in my opinion, a very poor strategy against the drug dealing in Mexico, but the results of such strategy were terrible. This film responds to many different things. I don't really recall exactly what was the origin as a single idea, but I know different curiosities or different itches that I felt or things that I responded to that I wanted to explore or to make the film about. Firstly, I remember around 2005 I received a bootleg MP3 CD filled with cumbias, cumbia music, which is inherently originally from Colombia, and something meant to be joyful, tropical, right? And here they have a version in which it is slowed down, It becomes something very, very different, way more nostalgic, something definitely darker. People say that because of the kids hanging out here were high, the music being slowed down made sense and combined well with their high. Por eso quiero que tu beso me den eso, que yo por eso muero si tú a mí me das un beso. Por eso quiero que tu beso me den eso, que yo por eso muero si tú a mí me das un beso. Por eso quiero que tu beso me den eso, que yo por eso muero si tú a mí me das un beso. Por eso quiero que tu beso me den eso, que yo por eso muero si tú a mí me das un beso. Por eso quiero que tu beso me den eso, que yo por eso muero si tú a mí me das un beso. The music, to me, finding the slowed down version represents, or I find an analogy with a fast expiring youth here in Mexico and in many other places in Latin America, where the lack of opportunities and the lack of social upward mobility renders the youth of many kids useless in a way, or it expires so fast. It's to me, those are the golden years. If you look at the timeline of a life, it's something that is going to be far back into your memories, and it's always going to be affected by the way of memories, right? Memories are not only information. Memories are the emotional impact of events that affects us, right? So for me, the idea of making a song that originally lasts, 4 or 5 minutes, making it last 10, 12. It's this analogy of saying I don't want the music to stop because there's no future, because I'm conscious that there's no hope, that there's no opportunities, that there's no way out of these situations. So that was really inspiring, and this is something that happened here in this city, which is incredibly important in terms of the cultural contribution to the country. It's a land of contrast where you have the richest municipality in Latin America, but also a lot of settlements, and you could say that an urban design, that it's designed basically to have people in the periphery not come into the city, and stay away. There's really awful initiatives, even to have tunnels so that people driving into these rich communities, they don't have to see the landscape of all this, right? So this being this such a contrast place has a reason. It was the first industrial city in Latin America, and it needed to have a lot of immigrants to come and work here, and some of them connected and related to the lyrics of the cumbia because of what they were singing about. Oh, how I miss the beach, or how I miss the sun or the weather, and that stayed and became the voice of these people that were somehow like marginalized and forgotten. So it's very interesting how these communities embraced such meaning and such lyrics based on their experience. Actually, ethnomusicologists say that from all cumbia, because cumbia is a world in itself, the cumbia that stayed here is mostly the one with accordion, because they say that the accordion is the voice of regret, you could say, the voice of sadness, of lamento in Spanish. So that's very interesting. Also, something super important is that this was a very affected zone by this war on drugs, as I was saying. But I felt like the people who had the access to tell stories or to make cultural products were somehow benefiting from this tragedy, And I think we in Latin America have really made people across the ocean expect for us to redeem ourselves with this some sort of sordid content. Like people call it sometimes misery porn, and for me it was exploitive, and I didn't want to glorify violence. It was not about that. It was never meant to be about shock, In the film there's only one scene, a violent scene, and we did it in real times, meaning we didn't have any cuts, and the point there is just to show it in parallel to another scene where the kids are dancing, and we also non-cut, and it goes for long, just to talk about how how things could happen, like joyful or sad, and the film also has that spirit, it's betting on juxtaposition. I didn't really want to be expositional. It's not about showing how much information we have. It's actually gathering things from real life and betting on people connecting the dots, the audiences. We have real things like the voice of the real president back then, And well, it's all centered around these kids, Los Terkos, which means stubborns. They have this gang, they love cumbia. And it's a super incredibly colorful countercultural movement. And also the idea of making something about a countercultural movement has to do with me being sad with the world repeating itself so much. Everywhere you go, the coffee is the same, or the same brands or corporations, or the same presence, the same trends. And cultural accidents are really important. And here, this Colombia with a K culture responded to something, right? Was a response to something, to marginalization, to stigmatization. And where society and families let the kids down, they found identification with each other because they were living similar situations. So they have the opportunity to reinvent themselves. So it's all about, oh, you think that because I'm poor and I'm dark-skinned, I'm going to be dangerous and I'm going to be a thug? Well, I embrace your prejudice, and I'm going to create a bigger persona with this bigger outfit, and I change my name, and I'm not going to be Fernando, I'm going to be another name, and my last name is not going to be Frías, it's going to be the name of my street, or the name of my gang, or the name of the people who respond for me, And then when I go to a dance, when the kids go to these parties, if they get the DJ to say their name, there's a reaffirmation of their existence, and the existence that they get to choose. So that's why this movement is so special to me, and also within the context of such places as Monterrey and in the city, because there have been other approaches to this culture in which, to me, it was just showing how crazy their looks were, and let's bring them and shoot them against a white canvas, where we can appreciate all of the oddities, but these oddities are a response to something directly happening here. So for me it was very important to tell the story that way. And also, in terms of the visual language, we didn't want the camera to be like a handheld camera that it's telling you what to feel or have a score. We have only like music that the characters will be listening to, and frames that are still and lasting long, for the takes. And that's because you could say like there's an embellished way of looking at these frames, and somehow of romanticization of. But to me, I gather permission to do so because the whole story is about the memories of this kid being an immigrant in New York, and being an immigrant in New York, and looking back to time, and then so that memories and the way of those memories allow me to look in certain way to this past here in Monterrey. It's also a story about immigration, trying to say that not every immigrant is the same. Not every Mexican in the U.S. is the same. Not every Mexican in New York works in a kitchen, comes from Puebla, does the same thing, or not everyone who is there wants to be there to begin with. It's a story about home being home, and about a kid who holds on to whatever like defies him and defines him. And when he comes back, that's gone, because the only way out was like, when this strategy on the Dragon Wars, the people joined, of course, the people they know, like the cartels, instead of like the army who just came without asking any questions, just like, kicking doors down and beating people, So of course, like when people have to take side, they take side with the people who they identify again with, which is all about the idea of the film, once and again. So when he comes back, his friends are either dead or became hitmen, and he comes back and he doesn't belong here, but he also never fit in New York. It's not a story about like external obstacles. It's more about an identity and internal conflict. So all of these are these motivations, and it's the approach. It's a celebration, a celebratory angle, a celebratory way of doing, of showing this culture, which for me it's very, very special. So I hope you have seen the film, and if not, I hope by listening this you want to see the film. Thank you very much.